you are buying equipment, so it should be from a standard company. So this ISO-aligned test tool, it has a provision to check the ODI plus minus 20 centimeter. So if I put 100 my SSD 100 centimeter over here, and so 100 will be here. If I keep this block horizontally, so then it will become 95, and if I put it vertically, then it will become 90, and if I keep this over this horizontally, so then it will become 85, and then if I put vertical, so it will become 80. So you can check 80 to 100, and if you want to check 100 to 110, so you just put 100 centimeter over here, then here it will become 105, here it will become 110, and here it will become 115, and here it will become 120. So plus minus 20 centimeter you can check with this, and same tool can be used to check the laser alignment. And then coming the very important congruence test, we have to check whether there is a optical and radiation congruence is there or not. And in most of the time, in my experience, this congruence test, it meets the requirement. And this is the GAF chromic film with which you can check. You can mark 4 points over here with the pin, and on this you can set your optical field and then expose it, and there will be image. So you can see physically, you can see, and if you want to see the profile, so you have to draw the profile of the beam to see the exact matching and exact calculation of the field size. So this is the photograph I have taken from the X-ray machine. So generally in X-ray machine, this congruence is very difficult to get, because they don't because they don't carry out the quality assurance test. So this is from the X-ray machine. You can see neither it is matching, and one side it is larger. So then you have a multimeter to check the KVP, MAS, timer. This is used to check the diagnostic X-ray machine, simulator, or if you have a on-board imaging on your linear accelerator. And in brachytherapy also, though there are many tests, but some important thing is, especially in the institution where you have a CT scan in diagnostic department and you don't have CT simulator in the department, and brachytherapy is usually a busy place where we are doing 4 to 5 or sometimes 5 to 7 patients per day, and all the patients, they are sent to diagnostic department for CT scan, and they bring the images are brought in CD. So when we are loading the CD in the TPS, if we have a 2 patients with one name, so we have to be very careful while entering the data. And then some of the parameters like indexer length, like in our department we have HDR from Elekta Nucleotron, and the indexer length is 1500 millimeter. But if you are using the implant, so the tube length will be different, catheter's length will be different. So for the individual, we have to measure what is the indexer length, and we have to number them properly. Then this is the tool, source simulator tool with the help of which you can measure the indexer length. And generally, when you buy the equipment, sometimes the company don't give it. So you have to specially purchase, tell the company that it is required. And then source positioning accuracy, which is very important, because in brachytherapy, we know that the dose fall-off is very sharp. So the source should be positioned at the required place. At the source size is 4.5 millimeter and diameter is 0.9 millimeter. So it is a very small source. It is a dummy source which I have shown over here, and this is the test tool with which you can check the position of the source accuracy. And then this is the strip, which is a marking scale marking on that. This strip is inserted inside, and this scale matches with this scale. And then once you irradiate, so this type of marking will be there, exposure will be there. So you can see it is not at proper position. So you have to ask the engineer to correct it. and after correction you can see it is in the right position. I have a small video to show you that how this happen. So you can visually also see in this source check ruler. So first, so you can see this is the dummy source. So when we start the treatment, first the dummy source comes and then it checks whether the path is clear or not. I have position at I have put my source at 1500 position, but this dummy source, so it just goes 7 mm beyond and checks that the path is clear. So once the path is clear, so it will go back. So the dummy source has gone back. So now the actual radioactive source will come and it will be sitting at this position. So you can see now this is the actual radioactive source, so which is exactly at the position where I wanted it. So after once the treatment is over, so this source will go back to the safe. So this source has gone back. So as in the beginning, I told you that the exposure from the man-made radioactive sources is mainly from the diagnostic X-ray. This is the one external audit which we did long back in the radiology department. We have surveyed 100 machines, and you can just see the condition of the X-ray room. There is no safety. One technician used to sit here and expose the patient, and then there are no barriers. Windows are there. This door you can see in front of the X-ray machine. Similarly, here also this chest stand is near to the door, and person is sitting inside. Similarly, over here, these windows are there, so anybody outside the window will be getting the radiation. For X-ray department, minimum 9-inch wall thickness is required for the shielding. And this is the result of the machine. Out of 100, only 68 could meet the field congruence test, and rest of the in 15 machine we could not carry any test because there was no field light. So they were exposing the patient without any field light. And same with other congruence, beam alignment, focal spot size, actual size was not available, KVP test, output consistency, overloading of the machine, because these machines, they were not properly checked. And then a little word of caution about using lead apron. So whenever we are using a lead apron, so they should be properly stored. Sometimes we have a tendency to fold them and keep at one place. If we fold them, so they will break and there will be a leakage of radiation from that place. So these are some of the radiological quantities exposure, which is measured in Roentgen or coulombs per kg. Then we have a absorbed dose, equivalent dose, effective dose, and this effective dose is used for radiation protection, and then activity. So now the important thing is whenever we are working in a radiotherapy department, so we should work within the tolerance limit. So these tolerance limits, they are given by the ICRP and then implemented by the national regulatory body. ICRP is a recommendatory body, and AERP, we have to follow it is mandatory to follow the rules framed by the Atomic Energy Regulatory Board. So for occupational worker, it is 20 millisievert per year, and for general public, it is 1 millisievert per year. So ज़्यादातर लोग क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं कि why it is 20 millisievert for radiation worker and why it is 1 millisievert for general public, because we all are human beings same. So my answer is this 20 millisievert is safe as well as this 1 millisievert is safe. Both the limits are safe. In general public, we have a children, we have a pregnant woman, and we can they don't have to go in radiation field frequently. Whereas for radiation worker, if we keep 1 millisievert, it will be very difficult to work because they have to handle emergency, they have to go near the radioactive sources. So that's why both the limits are safe, but for radiation worker it is little higher, and for general public it is less, and we have to follow ALARA as low as reasonably achievable, and these are the limits for eye lens, skin, hands of the feet. And for pregnant women, the limit is 1 millisievert to the embryo or fetus for the remaining period of the pregnancy. But it is the responsibility of the pregnant woman to inform the head of the department or radiological safety officer that she has become pregnant, and then they will take precaution that either they will ask her to work in some other area, and they will make provision to keep the radiation limit within 1 millisievert. And these are the, and no radiation worker can be applied less than 18 years of age, and but for trainees can be between 16 to 18 years, and for them the limit is this 6 millisievert in a year. And then working within limits, we know the limits, but how to know? So then there is a personal monitoring service. We have to wear TLD badge. So it is something like now we are telling everybody you wear the mask, but people are not wearing it because some people they say it doesn't work. Some people say कुछ नहीं होता है. Similarly with the TLD badge, जब नया रेडिएशन वर्कर ज्वाइन करता है तो he will be after RSO, सर मेरा TLD नहीं आया है, सर मेरा TLD नहीं आया है. जैसे ही TLD बैच आएगा 2 दिन लगा के घूमेगा और after few days when you ask him where is your TLD badge, so he will say सर बैग में है, सर इधर है. और after 3 months when you will ask him के TLD बैच चेंज करना है तो he will not find it. So we have to make a practice that whenever we are entering in a radiation area, we must wear the TLD badge. It is very important, and in case of emergency, we should have a pocket dosimeter to know the radiation dose immediately, because TLD will be evaluated after 3 months. And then TLD badge should be worn inside the lead apron, not outside. And after 3 months, it has to be replaced. It is not transferable. And ज़्यादातर लोग यही बोलते हैं कि सर TLD बैच में रीडिंग तो आती नहीं है, इसको डालने का क्या फायदा है? Because you are working in a safe environment, so that's why it doesn't record anything. And it is also myth that if you are wearing a TLD badge, it will protect you. It doesn't protect you. It only measures whatever the radiation is received by the person. So these are the 3 cardinal rules: time, distance, and shielding. We have to spend minimum time near the source. The same rule apply to the corona. You have to spend minimum time in the market, and you have to keep safe distance. So here we recommend maximum distance. Shielding. So you have to use optimum shielding, and shielding depends upon type of radiation, intensity, energy of radiation. And now the radiological safety officer, ज़्यादातर लोगों का यही सोचना है कि RSO तो कोई काम करता नहीं है, और it always preaches the same thing I am doing, that you do this, you don't do this. But you should know, I have given you the example of radiology department and the status of the radiation safety, because there is no RSO. So that's why the person is not there who will take care of the radiation safety. However, if you see radiotherapy department, they are much more safer. The amount of radiation handle is much more higher. Similarly, in the nuclear medicine department, they have a radiological safety officer, and so radiation safety is there. So radiation safety officer does work. And just to show you that how high activity radioactive sources are handled, this is a master and slave system. The people work outside the hot cell, and radioactive sources are handled inside. So whatever operation they do here, it is translated inside, and that's how they handle the high activity radioactive sources. And then again, source loading. Now I know that this telecobalt units, they are phased out, but in many institutions still we are using it. So source loading is a major operation. So one has to be very careful when you are doing a source loading. Only engineer and RSO should be inside. Rest of the person should be outside. They should see on the CCTV. They should never enter inside the room when source loading is taken, when source loading takes place. So what to do when source gets stuck when in beam on position? Generally, our all radiotherapy equipment, they are fail-safe mechanism. Fail-safe means if anything goes wrong, the radiation will be off automatically. Either if you open the door, source will go off. If there is a power failure, source will go off. If accidentally technician presses the button, any button, so radiation will be off. So these are fail-safe mechanism. but sometimes radioactive source may get stuck in on position. So one should remain calm. And then technician on duty, RTT on duty should try to press emergency button or key so that source goes in off position. If it doesn't go, then immediately gantry should be rotated to avoid primary beam. And first priority is to remove the patient. He should go inside, avoid the primary beam and remove the patient. He can ask the patient to come outside, and if the patient is having a mask, then it is very difficult. So in that case, I would suggest that the technician can go inside and take, with the help of T-rod, he can push the source inside. So technician should be trained to do this operation, and if it doesn't happen, then we have to see how to do it. It depends upon situation to situation. In my career, I have handled many situations where source got stuck, but we could handle it with safely. And just a word of caution about using T-rod. If you don't use it properly, it will break. So this is, some people say it is made up of metal. It is not made up of metal. It is made up of acrylic. If this T-rod is not inserted properly, it will break. So while pushing the source, ये हड़बड़ी में करने वाला काम नहीं है. One should be calm and do it smoothly, because we are doing this operation avoiding the primary beam. And in some of the machine, there is a provision. If source gets stuck, the collimeter becomes minimum. So field side becomes 4x4. And these are some of the radioactive symbol. This is for general public and this is for radiation worker. And whenever there is X-ray, so we should have a X-ray symbol in place. And these are my favorite slides, just to show you what to do in case of emergency. So this is the operation which we carried out with the help of my colleague, Dr. Mandal. We helped the UP police in identifying the bomb like a item. So this material, it was looking like a bomb and radiation was written on that. So we did a major operation, and finally we could open it, and then it was sent to BARC. It is a long story, long operation. It took lot of time and to do this. And after Delhi University incident, in our university, we found many orphan radioactive sources, and then they were also sent back to BARC. So this two incident we could manage because of our training to handle the radioactive sources. So you can just see, when you don't know what type of radioactivity you are handling, you have to use gloves, you have to use mask, you have to use caps, you have to use shoe cover, and in case of radiological accident, nuclear disaster, you have to use PPE kit. So finally, what is the take-home message? So radiation safety is a specialized area. You need a special training, you need a special gadgets, and all is well till emergency. So we have to be careful. We cannot wait for the emergency to happen. We have to take all the precautions. So if we have a good quality assurance, so we will be able to deliver accurate treatment. And then we should be, if proper quality assurance is there, quality assurance test we are carrying out, we have a proper quality assurance test tool, so we will be able to exploit the technology for use of complex treatment. Especially this we have to take care while purchasing the equipment. Sometimes we purchase the equipment, but we don't purchase the quality assurance equipment. So we are not able to use sometimes the equipment at its full capacity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for such a nice and comprehensive lecture. And I think it is very important to know to avoid accident. If we are knowledgeable how it happened, then we can prevent it.
Yes, absolutely.
Now we invite Dr. Piyusha. Are you here, Dr. Piyusha?
Yes, I am here only.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Agarwal.
Thank you. Thank
for
you, ma'am.
your nice, very informative and very extensive lecture. And I have seen in the chat box somebody has written that I am scared to work in a radiation department. So I think there is no need to scare, because these kinds of lectures we should all listen. We should understand the, the even the small our alertness will be better, because many a times people, if you can't see a thing, you can't be scared of that thing. So that's why Dr. Agarwal told us that it is not seen and feel it, but he has seen in his career so many accidents and so many things. We should take lesson from them. And our physicist and team, they should be very alert and very, disciplined to get daily QA, because in our setup also sometimes when patient load is much, so daily QA is a question, because in the early morning they have to come and they do the daily QA, but we should not ignore it. And the other thing, sir told that after electricity goes off, machine starts again. I don't think anybody does QA in that scene. So we should make this practice in our setup, that after every time whenever our machine is on, then we should do a QA.
Yeah, Dr. Piyusha, just to add this thing,
Yeah.
I think the RTT working on the equipment is very important.
Yeah.
In our department, we have Mr. Jilmit Yadav. You must be knowing him.
Yeah, the Jalmir ji, yeah, I know.
One of the fine technician.
Yes.
Sometimes we get irritated because कभी हम उनको कार्ड देंगे कि यादव जी ये ट्रीट करना है, तो he will come, सर इसका ट्रीटमेंट टाइम ज्यादा लग रहा है. तो because if anything unconventional, so he will always say कि सर इसमें ये थोड़ा सा गड़बड़ लग रहा है. Though it may not be wrong, because if anything he find new, so he will just ask, he will question कि ये क्यों है, ये कैसे है. So similarly, like in Poland, that accident happened after power failure. Nobody will do the quality assurance test, but RTT can judge it. Okay, machine is taking longer time to treat, so he can sense that something is wrong. So man behind the machine is very important.
That's true, but in these new machines and all, time is so small that many a times you can't even predict, something is going wrong.
That's right.
In COBOL time, things were different, and these, we are much more dependent on the technology only.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Especially with the triple F, you have a very less time.
Yes. But still, it is very important to learn these radiation protection and quality assurance. Whenever, we doctors, we join a new radiation department, we should do some lectures on these kind of protection and quality assurance, because we are much more always busy with our clinical work. We don't know much about these physics part. And physicists, sir, don't mind, but physicists don't want to tell many things to us also. So I think there should be a very good collaboration between physicist and radiation oncologist, because it is very important that we monitor what is going on in the department and daily QA is going on or not, or we have a BRCA list like annual QA, weekly QA, and daily QA. So we should all keep watch on these things.
I'll tell you one very interesting thing. We visited Poland, and there was three physics teams. One team was dedicated to external beam radiotherapy. The second medical physics team and radiation oncologist team was dedicated to brachytherapy. And there was a third team of medical physicists who were only doing quality assurance test and radiation survey. So it is very important because we have a battery of QA tests. It is very difficult for a one person to know all the quality assurance tests, because if you expect a one person will do brachy QA, external beam QA, it may not be possible. So they have a separate team because they were having more number of equipment also. So there is a separate team to carry out the quality assurance test.
Yes. So one question is there for you. What essential requirements are needed before installing RT machine in a hospital? It's a very long answer.
No. Actually, if you go to AERB website, so they have the details. The first thing is whenever you are buying the equipment, So you should decide that what type of machine you want, what are your clinical requirement. आपको जो है किस टाइप का सेटअप लगाना है, आपके पास क्या बजट है, you want only external beam therapy, you want external beam therapy with brachytherapy, you want planning system. So first you have a idea that what you are going to do. Once you have this idea, then you should have a land, and if you have a land, then you must approach BRC after making the after consulting some physicist or some consultant, after having a layout plans. And the most important thing is whenever you are planning a radiotherapy equipment, you must have an idea what type of equipment you are going to buy. तो आपके पास जो है लेआउट प्लान होना चाहिए, लेआउट प्लान बीआरसी से अप्रूव होना चाहिए, और उसके बाद जो आप इक्विपमेंट खरीद रहे हैं वो उस इक्विपमेंट का टाइप अप्रूवल होना चाहिए. It should be type approved by the AERB. If it is not type approved, suppose there is a new equipment, it is not in India and it is coming first time, so then within 6 months of the installation, this type approval must be obtained from the AERB, otherwise you will not be able to use that equipment. So type approval is a responsibility of the vendor. They will get the type approval. And then you should have all the radiation safety equipment, and then you should have a radiation oncologist, medical physicist, and technician. These are the minimum required to start a radiotherapy department.
Yes, sir. And sir, as you told, the identity of the patient.
Yeah.
You know, I have also seen the same name patient, treated.
Yeah.
So one should be very alert, and ID and photo is mandatory these days.
Yeah.
Because one patient, the breast patient, was treated for a cervical cancer. So these kind of, so we should be very alert for the inappropriate reactions and.
Yeah, I agree. As I told you in the beginning, it is a basically practice, and what are the SOPs you have in the department, and it you should not avoid the SOPs. That is very very important. जैसे मैंने कहा कि डेली डेजिमेट्री करनी है, और अगर मेरे को इंटर्न या जूनियर फिजिसिस्ट कहता है कि सर रीडिंग सेम आती है, कुछ नहीं होता है, it doesn't change. It means machine is working perfect.
Right.
But if suppose you have not checked it particular day, and particular day that incident happened, then you cannot blame anybody. You have to blame yourself. So in radiation protection, SOPs are very important. You have to follow the SOPs.
Dr. Arun, questions and all?
Yeah, I just want to ask one question. As you have shown, the brachytherapy is source positioning exposure.
Yeah.
Is what are the protocol? Is it routinely to be done, or when we suspect, then it to be done?
Yeah, usually we do when we replace the source, when we put the new source. So then we do this source check that whether it is in the position or not. And most of the time when you are putting a new source, so there is a small displacement of 1 to 2 mm, which we have observed. So generally it is done at the time of source replacement, and it is always better if you do once in a month at least. Then you can have a protocol that how your machine is working. In our institution, because we have a student, so this is a part of the practical also. So we do it once in a month at least.
Yeah, but I think I did not seen this. Maybe that is done by physicists, and they are doing it. But we'll cross check whether it is done or not. Because we mostly rely on the nice planning system, but what is going on, we don't know actually. So we should cross check.
Dr. Arun, you have asked a very important thing. You can see the diagram. Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah. I am able to see. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the strip which is supplied by the company, and this is very expensive. So you can see that I have almost exhausted all the points on that. So what we do, we take a simple gap chromic film and then paste it on the graph sheet, and then with the help of that we try to check it. So yeah, in our institution we do it regularly. Actually, once in a month we do it.
I think this is a quite innovative and cheap and the cost effective solution what you told. Okay, we
Yeah.
can we using gap chromic film usually for the surface dosimetry. We can
Yeah,
use
that's
this also. Yeah.
yeah. Actually, graph film cost to 2,000 rupees per film, and then this is source
Okay.
check device. I have shown you the video. So this,
Yeah, yeah,
with the help of video also you can check it. This video was taken
yeah.
with the help of a mobile. Two mobiles
Okay, okay.
they were paired with each other, and with the help of mobile we have taken that video which I have shown.
Okay, right. Good, sir. Oh, very nice and informative lecture. Dr. Anu ma'am, are
Yes, Dr.
yeah,
Arun, I'm here.
yeah, ma'am. Please continue. Over to you. Give closing and thanks remarks to sir.
Thank you, Dr. Lalit. It was such a nice presentation and it's very, very informative. And I think it's very important for all of us, as Dr. Piyusha said. So thank you very much for the
Thank you.
presentation.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
And
So
Dr.
with this,
Lalit,
yeah.
one point I want to say, Dr. Lalit was saying maybe it may be boring. But you know, sir, in your lecture, 132 was the attendance, and now also 79 participants are here. That's
Thank
because,
you.
Very, very interesting.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Very scary also.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Once again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Anu, Dr. Rasi, Dr. Yusha, and every participant. Thank you. And with this, we close now.
Thank you.